every part of me wanted to see it say positive. I don't know why. And it said negative. But at that point, I felt like I needed to experience that because then some things started to come up for me. I started to realize I had fear around pregnancy because of the things that I've done to my body, because of the plastic surgery, getting my breast done. Will I be able to feed my child? 20 plus years of, stuffing and starving myself. Was I going to be able to actually even reproduce? Was this, a form of punishment that I just had to endure in my life of not having a child because of the abuse that I put on my body, that I didn't steward this vessel well? Like, it was so many things going on in my mind. Hey, what's up? I'm Letitia Renee Brown, and welcome to another episode of Testimony, My Life, His Glory, episode 9. And so I want to stop you right here. If you have not watched episode 8, please, please, please go and watch the other video so that you can understand what I'm about to share with you and what's about to go down in this video, okay? So, referencing the previous video, where we left off, I alluded to the fact that I took a pregnancy test, and there was some things happening once me and my husband decided, right after we came back from Paris and Italy after our honeymoon, that we wanted to swiftly move and relocate to Sherman Oaks, California, to LA, like 2 weeks after our honeymoon. And it was pre-planned. Everything was already executed and in order. So that was October 2022. We shipped our cars and our cat, packed our major belongings, and got a cute little 2-bedroom apartment in Sherman Oaks. And we were there under the impression that I was going to be head on, full throttle, going into all the acting endeavors. I'm already starring on one TV show, but now the sky is the limit, And my husband, he was going to come out and start this community. And we called it the 4A community. And it was centered around the 4A process that he created that it's powerful, and it helps anyone process their tough emotions and situations, anything going on in their lives. But it's a very practical step-by-step process, a series of questions. And so we still use it in our marriage, with our family. And now we wanted to open it up to the world. And so we were gearing up to essentially go into some sense of ministry. It wasn't a Christian community, but, out of the abundance of the heart, you know what I mean? It just comes out. So we were really excited about that. So yeah. Let's go back and let's stay in October for a minute. So we get settled in our cute little apartment, and the first month that we're there, still kind of buzzing from the honeymoon high, we're just goofing off. Like, no major responsibilities, nothing serious happening in our life. We're just like, we just want to have fun, because I have a feeling this is going to be short-lived. So we are, oh my gosh, just going out to eat at restaurants and reuniting and reconnecting with some friends that we knew out there. And we also had a brother that lived out there, my brother-in-law, his brother. And so we, he reconnected with him. But then also it kind of just felt like, even though we started this little community, and it was a little community at first, we were in our own little bubble. And so we would pop out and go to like a cool restaurant across town, or we would pop out and hang out with our brother and friends. We would pop out and do this community that was online via Zoom. But if we didn't have anything else going on, it was just like me and my husband in our cute little apartment, or walking around our cute little neighborhood, or it was beautiful. It was like an extension of the honeymoon, because I felt like the honeymoon, we were so homesick since we cut it in half. It's like we continued the honeymoon in LA. And there's parts, I have a love-hate relationship with LA. I don't care for the dark components of it, but I do love the nature out there. I love the mountains and the hiking and all of those things. So we had a view from our balcony in our apartment. Every morning we could see the sunrise coming over this big, huge mountain. It was just, I'm like, oh, this is beautiful. And it wasn't nothing super fancy and expensive. It was a nice, quaint little practical 2-bedroom apartment. And it wasn't the hugest apartment either, but it was ours, and it was nice. And we were bi-coastal. We also still had the condo back in Atlanta. And so now we're just kind of we're gearing up with this community. It's like all hands on deck, and everything, all of our energy is going towards starting up and keeping up with this community that we did every week. We did it Wednesday nights on Zoom. And at first we maybe had like 2 people, come to the first couple. No, the first meeting, we had a whole bunch of people. But a lot of people, once they saw how in depth the questions were, how much accountability you had to take for your own actions, how tough processing your emotions can be sometimes, a lot of people fell off. And so we had to devise a plan to kind of figure out how to extend this to people so that they can see the value of it. This isn't like, it's not invasive because, you're answering the questions on your own in your own private space, but the questions hit hard. But when you go through it, what you come out and experience on the other side is breakthrough, it's transformation. And even though a few people fell off, we had a few people who stuck and they were there religiously. They were waiting every single Wednesday. They were coming to that Zoom call because they saw the value of how in one meeting their life was changing. And so we were excited to see how it started to grow more and more. I was like, oh, now we got 5 people on the call, stuff like that. And I even remember, like, we did literally put all of our efforts into this community. And I say that because when we first came out to LA, even though I was looking forward to acting and all of these endeavors, I never really pursued it. I never really tapped into it. I already had, a major gig. So I'm like, well, maybe I can hold off on that and we can focus on the community. But also, I was in the process of coaching women who wanted to break free from body image issues and binge eating disorder, because that's something that I believe God delivered me from. I wanted to extend that to others. And so I was going to start going public and offering that, had a website that I was about to build and everything. And I felt like I heard the Holy Spirit say to me, and tell me how you feel about this. Like, if this happens to you sometimes, it's just like the most unspiritual moment and the Lord speaks to you. And we're getting ready to, I think, go get some food up the street from one of our favorite little spots. And I'm like putting on my clothes and like, fixing my hair in the mirror in our bedroom. And Holy Spirit was like, I need you to hold off on the coaching for now and focus on the community with your husband. And I was just like, And then I went and told him, I was like, babe, I think I'm going to focus on what you're doing right now and kind of hold off on what I'm doing. And it was like a confirmation for him. He was like, oh my God, thank you. He was like, man, I feel like I was just talking to God about that. I was like, man, I really need you. I need your support, babe. And I was just like, wow. Okay, Lord, I hear you. Okay. I love how the Holy Spirit, he would do that with us quite often, communicate between the both of us and, make sure that we're on the same page as long as we're listening or bringing it to him, right? So everything was focused on this community. And so we're doing our thing. Then November rolls around, the end of November to be specific. It's Thanksgiving. And so now we got to go home and see family. But we chose to actually go to Florida to see our baby, who was still our family. And we went to go and spend time with him. We flew to Florida from LA. And then when we got there, I'll say this trip was very weird. This trip was very, very weird for me because I felt like crap. I did not feel well. I felt off. And I had these symptoms kind of resurfacing for me that I haven't had in a long time. So if you watch my previous videos on my channel, specifically the playlist talking about my weight loss journey, you'll remember when I was talking about the chronic hives that I battled with and the gut issues that I battled with. And it's kind of interesting because my husband, at that point, my husband got me in tip top shape. Okay. That was like something we really bonded over was fitness. So we're always in the gym together. We're always working out together. We're a very active couple. And I felt for the first time in my life, my body truly stabilized. Like my body was just like, like I can get a break, no fluctuations and all of this craziness happening. And at this time, I was eating a primarily vegan diet, but it was kind of heavy on the processed food type vegan diet, but vegan nonetheless, right? Especially in LA, because it's a lot of plant based health food type stores and restaurants out there. So I'm painting a picture for you so you can understand what's about to happen. So we're in Florida hanging out with our baby. I think he was sick. Yeah, he was sick, so he wasn't feeling well. So I think we took him somewhere like the Crayola Crayon Factory or something like that and took a break, came back to the hotel. But then we were going to go somewhere. We went to Whole Foods because we needed to get him some stuff because he wasn't feeling well. Do like some wellness shots and, like kids' vitamins or whatever, just something to just kind of, we only had him for a couple of days. So let's just see what I can do to help support his immune system while we have him. And so we're walking through Whole Foods. My husband has, the little basket in one hand and our son's hand in the other, and he's walking ahead. And I know this sounds weird, y'all, but it'll make sense in a minute. I was walking behind them and I looked down. And you know how in some grocery stores they have like this open refrigerator type thing or open freezer where they'll have like meat and stuff just kind of out? And so I'm walking and I see this pack of like a square pack of like raw meat, like raw beef. And I see it and I like internally salivate. I'm like, And I was like, oh. And I caught myself. I'm like, I'm vegan. What? Like, that was a weird reaction for me because at that point, I hadn't had meat. Oh, gosh. In almost 10 years at that point. Because I went back to eating meat temporarily in 2016. But up until 2016, I didn't have meat for 10 years. So it was like, I don't eat meat. Maybe fish occasionally, but what? Especially beef. That's what I said at the time. So that was weird. And I was just like, why did my body get excited by that? Anyway, and then we get back to the hotel and we're just chilling for a minute. And then my body just breaks out in full blown hives. And I'm like, what is going on with me? And then my gut, that whole trip, like my stomach was turning, my stomach was in pain. And I was used to my stomach feeling that way, especially when I was doing what I was doing to my body before when I was abusing it, when I had the eating disorder. That was my norm. But at this point, I have a pretty healthy, stable relationship with food and a pretty healthy diet. I didn't have any stomach pain. So where is all this coming from? It was old symptoms resurfacing for me. And so something else happened. I remember I couldn't shake that meat. But I was like, maybe I just need more protein. And I told my husband, I was like, I really want a burger. But my husband knew me. If I said I wanted a burger, it was an Impossible Burger. Like, okay, Beyond Burger. All right, whatever. We'll go find somewhere we can get an Impossible Burger. And so we take our son and we go to this little restaurant and we sit down and we're like, yes, we're going to have burgers and fries for dinner before we go back to the hotel. And they get burgers. And I'm trying to have like some sense of weird self-control and self-restraint because I'm like, well, I don't eat meat, but that look good. Okay, I'm gonna wait for my Beyond Burger. And my little Beyond Burger comes and I eat it and I'm just like, no, this is not giving me what I thought it would give me. What is going on with me? This usually satisfies any kind of meat craving or protein fix that I need. I usually eat the fake stuff, right? That was frustrating. And so that was interesting. I didn't know why I felt like crap, but then it didn't end there. After we came back home, our new home in LA, I started to have really intense pain, like in my lower back, but on the right side, right above my butt. And I was just like I was in so much pain to the point where I couldn't walk. And I was just laying in bed. And then I was telling my husband how it felt and the symptoms. He was like, "You ever had sciatica before?" I was like, "What the heck is a sciatica? What are you talking about?" And I looked it up. I looked up the symptoms. I never had anything like that ever in my life before. So I thought it was a weird workout that I did because at that point I was really going hard in the gym. I was staying consistent because I love fitness. I love to work out. Still do to this day. And so I thought maybe I just pinched a nerve or something weird was going on, but I was in excruciating pain to the point where we had to go across town and book some sessions with a physical therapist. And so she's sitting here like we're trying to figure out, okay, is it a slip disc? Is it sciatica? Where is this pain coming from? She starts to test me by doing all of these like posture evaluations and getting me to stand in certain poses to see if it's painful. Long story short, after a while, I go to a couple sessions with that physical therapist and I feel amazing afterwards because she's like digging into my glutes and just and oh my god, it was so painful. It's intense massage and stretching me out. And then she gave me a set of exercises and stretches to do a couple times a day when I got home. And I was like, all right, this felt good, but dang, now I can't work out for 4 to 6 weeks. It sucks. So now I have to sleep weird. I'm laying in bed, pillows stuffed under here and under here. And it was a hot mess. I'm just frustrated at this point. Here I am, this physically fit woman who's only, what, 31 at the time? Why am I bedridden with sciatica pain? And so a couple weeks go by, and now we're back at the point that I left off in the previous video. I know this is a weird journey. You're probably wondering, what is she about to talk about? What is she about to reveal? But you have to hang on because we're going to get to that. But first, I want to pause and say thank you for joining me on this channel. Thank you for subscribing because I have my little subscribers are growing every day. This is kind of exciting. But if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love for you to like this video, comment down below what you think about the content, and subscribe to this channel so that you can join the family. And comment down below for real. Like I want to know what you feel and what you're thinking about what I'm sharing so far, and even at the end of this video, because I'm going to respond. I respond to probably 99% of my comments. So let's start having a conversation in the comments, shall we? Okay, so back to the story. We are at this point in December, first week in December. And, I'm getting my groove with the workouts and I'm able to manage the sciatica pain. I remember I had this random moment though, where I was in the bathroom doing something, maybe doing my hair or something. Maybe I was on the toilet. I don't know. But I remember, again, in those little random moments of stillness and silence, I heard the Holy Spirit say something about eliminating processed food from my diet and how it wasn't healthy for my unborn child. And when I heard him say that, I was just like, oh, dang. Okay, well, that makes sense. One day I want to have a kid. So I guess I always knew my body was always sensitive to highly processed things, because the additives and things like that, regardless if it's plant-based or not. For me, I have certain sensitivities where my body just likes real food. You just put it that way. Nothing super special or anything like that. But my body just seems to malfunction if I have a little bit too much overly processed foods. I think that's for most people, but I tend to have a lot more symptoms than maybe the average person. And so I remembered that. And so I started to switch my diet to whole foods, plant-based. So getting rid of the fake eggs and meats and cheeses, getting rid of the processed snacks and all of that, and just going back to just my staples, my rice and beans, my tofu, my veggies, my fruits, smoothies, oatmeal, just like the regular from the earth things that I would eat. So keep in mind what he just said, right? And so I remember one day I was coming back from the gym, and now we're at the point that I was sharing in the video where I left off. I was coming back from the gym downstairs from my apartment, and I felt like I was dragging myself upstairs. I was so tired, and I just begrudgingly just made myself like a bowl of oatmeal, sat down at the table, and I'm just like, why am I so tired? I'm struggling to eat this bowl of oatmeal. So I'm sitting here and I'm just like, all right, you know what? I didn't take a nap. Maybe I just worked out too hard. Let me go and rest. Because I love me a good nap, okay? So that wasn't out of the norm for me. I take a nap every single day for the most part, still to this day. And so I woke up from this nap. And I don't know why I felt like the pregnancy test that I had in the bathroom in the bottom cabinet just stuck out to me. I was like, I think I have one random pregnancy test laying around here. Something just shifted in me when I got married. Mind you, we just got married. We just got married in September. And then by, a couple days later, we're on that honeymoon. But when we came back and we had those couple of weeks back home getting geared up to move to LA, a lot of things happened, okay? And I remember we had a pregnancy scare. But I remembered the fear that I felt, but the desire that I had. Ever since I got married, I just had this intense desire to have a baby. But I was stuffing it down because I'm like, well, we just got married. Like, let's enjoy our marriage. Let's enjoy maybe 2 years of it. Let's travel the world and just, build our businesses and just be cute and married. That was our plan. That was my plan, especially. But then something inside of me was desiring to get pregnant. And so we had this moment where I thought I actually was late. My cycle didn't come for some reason. It was just a couple days late, but I took a pregnancy test and I was very nervous, but every part of me wanted to see it say positive. I don't know why. And it said negative. But at that point, I felt like I needed to experience that because then some things started to come up for me. I started to realize I had fear around pregnancy because of the things that I've done to my body, because of, the plastic surgery, getting my breast done. Will I be able to feed my child? 20 plus years of, stuffing and starving myself. Was I going to be able to actually even reproduce? Was this, a form of punishment that I just had to endure in my life of not having a child because of the abuse that I put on my body, that I didn't steward this vessel well? Like, it was so many things going on in my mind. And I just broke down crying. And I remember my husband, he just held me and he was just like, you're going to be all right. And he felt like God was kind of showing that to him. Like, God's kind of been speaking to me about this and showing me that you're scared and you're afraid that you're not going to be able to have a child. But let me tell you right now, you will be able to. And so I needed that encouragement from my husband and the Holy Spirit at that moment. And this was back in early October. And so fast forward back to December, the pregnancy test says positive. And mind you, I'm the only one at home. My husband, I think he ran out to do something. He went to the store or something. Yeah, he went to the store. I wanted to reveal it to him in like a really cute way. So I was like, all right, I don't have enough patience to do something elaborate where I'll have to wait. I want to tell him as soon as he comes back. So I just got like a little sticky note, like a cute little sticky note like this. It was like a pink sticky note, right? And I wrote on it, we're pregnant, like exclamation mark, exclamation mark. And we loved our space as far as like having our separate bathrooms. So he had his bathroom on that side. I had my bathroom on the other side of the apartment. We still shared bathrooms, but he would use that one predominantly. I put the sticky note in the shower and the pregnancy test next to it. I wanted him to see it when he went into the bathroom. And so he comes back. And first of all, I'm still trying to process the fact that I'm pregnant, but I'm not going to be able to fully process it until I can process it with my husband. So I want him to find out so we can both scream and cry and be happy. And so he comes into the bathroom and I have the shower curtain open and everything so he can just kind of see it there. He goes in the bathroom, uses the bathroom, comes out. He's like, hey, babe, gives me a kiss. I'm like, all right, he didn't see it, And then I'm like, he goes to do something in our room. I'm like, dang it. So I'm running to the bathroom and I take the sticky note and the pregnancy test and I put it on the toilet. And I'm like, he has to see it now. And so I'm just waiting. And, he just got done with his workout. So I'm like, babe, what you want to eat? I'm making some breakfast. And we're just talking, catching up. And I'm waiting for him to run back to the bathroom. And then he's, hold on, I use the bathroom again. And he goes to the bathroom. I stand at the counter in the kitchen and I just wait. And then he comes out of the bathroom holding the sticky note, holding the pregnancy test. And he has the cutest look on his face. He's like, well, are we pregnant? Are we pregnant? I was like, yeah. And he's tearing up. I'm tearing up. And we're just like holding each other. And just like, he's squeezing me so tight. I'm like, okay, it was such a beautiful moment, very intimate moment. And we just had to sit and process it together. And okay, wait, when did this happen? Oh, it happened. Oh, okay. Like just thinking back, just like looking back at a series of events. And I started to maybe started look at pregnancy symptoms. Oh, wow. I had some very weird pregnancy symptoms, evidently. The high, like my body was like a lot of things in my body were just being agitated as this little tiny little creature was forming in my womb. And I was so excited to say, I'm going to be a mommy. And so what do? I go into overdrive of just education, videos, download apps so I can stay and track. Oh, wow, it's the size of a chia seed now. And, tracking my pregnancy. I was so excited. I was so excited. And so the rest of this video, I'm going to kind of breeze past it, but it was just like really fun, cool series of events. And so this was the beginning of December. So, because our brother's a choreographer, and so obviously he's well connected in LA and all of these things. So he invited us to SZA's listening party. We got to meet her and everything. She was such a sweetheart. And oh no. So, but before we went to the listening party, we went out to eat at our favorite little vegan spot. And I love me some tofu. I sit down, I get my little tofu dish, appetizer thingy, whatever it was. I take one bite. I'm like, mm-mm. I tell the waiter, I'm like, is something wrong with this? I am a tofu aficionado. So your tofu tastes weird, is what I was telling him basically. There's something wrong with this. And he was just like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, man. We'll take it back. And I was like, okay, can I just try something else? I wasn't rude or anything, but I couldn't eat the tofu. But for the rest of the night, I was nauseous. I felt like I was going to throw up. There goes my introduction to morning sickness. The night of this is a listening party. And so the rest of the night after dinner, we go to the listening party and I'm just chilling. I'm sitting in a little section, a little VIP section. I'm just chilling because I'm like, I can't get up and walk around and mingle like I want to because also my energy is shot. Now I'm sitting here nauseous, just like 24/7. And still managed to have a good time. But from that day forward, every single day, I was nauseous. I woke up nauseous. I was nauseous throughout the day. I was nauseous until I went to sleep. And I have the kind of body disposition where I just don't throw up easily. TMI, sorry. But I don't. I could never make myself do it. I just don't naturally. It just doesn't happen that way for me. So it's just, I felt like I wanted to so badly because whatever was going on in there was just stuck. And it was just sitting there. And I just felt miserable. And I didn't have any energy. I was sleeping so much. I was so tired. I'm doing all the research and I'm like, oh, wow, welcome to the first trimester. And I'm just like, oh, great. This is fun. But now it's the end of December. So we have to go back to Atlanta and go see our family now for Christmas. And so we go to see our family. But this was the cute, fun part that I was excited about. We didn't do Christmas gifts that year elaborately. We bought both of our parents little onesies. And on the little onesies, it said something like, I can't wait to meet you. And the onesie was so tiny. It was a newborn onesie. So I wrap it up and I packaged the one for my mom and I packaged one for my mother-in-law and my father-in-law. And I think I even sent a pack to my stepmom and my dad as well. Yeah, everybody got onesies for Christmas. Their reactions were golden. I cannot tell you how they were. Okay, so like, just imagine getting your loved one a gift, and it's like this weird little obscure, soft, crinkly package, and you're just like, what is it? And so they open it and they pull out this onesie. I love to see their reactions in their face where they're just like, okay, so what is this little thing? Like, they're trying to calculate it in their head, and they look at it and they're like, oh my God. Everybody cried. I didn't see my stepmom, my dad's reaction, but we got my mom on video. She's going crazy. My sister going crazy. We got and then when I went to my in-laws, the whole family was over there. So everybody went crazy. Like, it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. Like, we're pregnant. Merry Christmas. So everybody was like, this is the best Christmas gift ever. Yeah, man. So that's how we announced our pregnancy to our family. But here's another funny story that I want to share with you before we end this video. Lord. So we're like, ping ponging back and forth. And we're spending Christmas between my family and his family and my family. One day during the holidays, we went back over to my mom's house, and my God, my mom know how to cook, boy. She made these beef short ribs. And these are my mom's beef short ribs. I haven't had them in decades because I was always vegan, vegetarian. And so she made these beef short ribs. Yeah, my mom, I know she can throw down. My husband loves her cooking. And so we're kind of just like, it was nothing formal. We were just kind of just like standing around the kitchen, talking, eating and stuff. And I don't know what I was eating, probably something real sad. But I remember feeling so conflicted because those beef ribs look real good. And I remembered how I felt when I saw that pack of raw meat in Whole Foods. And I'm like, hold on. Wait a minute. No. Let me let you into what was going on in my mind. At that point, I was having to die to myself, literally, to say, I need to put my child's life before my own. And I feel like my body is craving something. But it was tough for me because I've already identified myself as I'm eating plant-based. I was starting to honestly shed the label of vegan. It wasn't that. It wasn't the label per se. It was the limited knowledge that I had that eating plant-based was the only way to be healthy. And I lived by that for decades. And also, I remember back in 2016 when I decided I just wanted to jump off the bandwagon and eat meat again, I got very sick. So I was actually afraid of, okay, if you're going to go back to eating anything, first you start with fish. If you can tolerate it, chicken, maybe some dairy, then you can go into the red meat and all that stuff because the body has to really process those things. But here I am sitting at my mom's kitchen table, and my husband he's like teasing me. He got like a short rib on a napkin. He's eating it. He's like, babe, this look good. You want some? You want some? Because I told him how I felt like I wanted like some meat or something, but I was struggling with trying to figure out how to, I don't know. And so he's playing with me, and then he plops the short rib right in front of me at the table, and I'm looking at it. And I don't know what happened. That thing disappeared. I said, I ate that short rib so fast. My husband was so shocked. He was like, oh. Like, I attacked it. I think I did attack it. My body has such a visceral reaction to this short rib sitting in front of me. Or my mom was like, oh my God, honey, let me get you some more. And I ate short ribs that night for dinner. And let me share something with you. That nausea that I had, completely gone. The moment that I began to eat meat, the nausea subsided. Crazy. I know, crazy. Because Another thing I was struggling with was the fact that I wanted to have this ideological vegan plant-based pregnancy. I wanted my child to be healthy, what I thought would make my child healthy. And I had to shed all of that. That was the beginning of me learning how to be selfless as a parent. Before the child was even born, the child has taken over my body. So yeah, I went from vegan to meat eater overnight in my first trimester of pregnancy. And I know this story has been crazy, but it continues on when we go back home from the holidays, and from that day forward, I'm incorporating chicken into my diet. I'm having fun at this point. I'm going to gyros. I'm eating anything that I want because I'm like, oh, this is what people start to experience when they're pregnant. They start to have weird cravings. The weirdest craving I had was cherries and pickles together. That was very strange. That's what I wanted. I would have cherries and pickles together. At one point, I started craving peas. I really wanted peas. It was just really random stuff. The pickles, they didn't last that long. Now, I will say the nausea it would come and go. But waking up nauseous, going to sleep nauseous, that was over. That was over. I started to find some ways to start to cope with the nausea if it did come up. So I would make sure I'm eating enough protein. I was making sure that I had my ginger chews. I was making sure I had my little sour candies, anything tea, anything to help settle my stomach, and just get to bed by 8 o'clock because I was done. Okay. So that was, yeah, that's how we discovered we were pregnant after 2 months of being married. So there you go. In the next video, I want to talk about my pregnancy. I want to talk about me having to shift my diet was just one aspect of my pregnancy. And I will say my pregnancy, honestly, it was quite traumatic. The birth was, but the pregnancy was beautiful. I'm going to talk about the pregnancy in the next video. And then when we get to the other video, this may be a 3 to 4 part series. We'll see. And I'll be honest, I almost didn't share this video. I almost didn't share this topic because I was wrestling with it. I'm like, Lord, okay, I'm telling my testimony, and this is a testimony series about how I'm glorifying you with the things that you have delivered me from and that you've blessed me with. Yes, you blessed me with an amazing child, an amazing children. That is a part of the blessings that you've given me. But I didn't know how much in detail I wanted to go with the pregnancy video. But at the end of the day, this is my channel, so I really don't care. I can't be so concerned about people gonna watch it, like it or not. I have to be obedient. I have to share it because I felt like God was leading me back to this story. Like, hey, share it. Maybe there's some women out there and men who need to hear this. Men, how you can support your pregnant women or soon to be, pregnant woman. And women, what you may can expect, or if you already had a baby, maybe you had a couple babies and you can resonate with some of the things that I shared. Again, I'm just up here sharing my story. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see you in part 2 of my pregnancy journey. Until next time, peace.